So OCD. This is another book written about OCD from Lily Bailey. Two of us sat side by side in my head, woven together, inseparable. She didn't even have a name. She was just she. Really, it was hard to see where she ended and I began. But food was not shared with her. She did not play tag and never required a seat. She was, by her very essence, nothing like these imaginary friends. She was just there. One was not proud of her in the same way as one is not proud of a liver, and there was no need to show her off nor tell anyone she existed. Interesting way of looking at it. So we're going to very briefly look at the definition and the stats. The stats I've got are Australian stats, but it still gives you a sense of the percentages. Each country would be slightly different, but to some degree, I guess, there wouldn't be a huge difference in my understanding. We look at the obsession part of OCD and we look at the compulsion part. We look at obviously focusing on the Chinese medicine aspect. In particular, we run through how OCD might look for each of the archetypes, the 5-element archetypes. I give a 8 extra example using the Chong Mai. It's not the only one you could use, but it's one to consider. And then I've got a protocol that I will typically consider using. It won't always apply, but probably 95% of the time, it's something that I would consider using for my OCD patients. So a few little definitions. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is an anxiety disorder that affects 2 to 3% of the population, which is more than 500,000 Australians. It's about 25 million Australians. Usually begins in late childhood or early adolescence. People with OCD experience recurrent and persistent thoughts, images, or impulses that are intrusive and unwanted. They also perform repetitive and ritualistic actions that are excessive, time-consuming, and distressing. People with OCD are usually aware of the irrational and excessive nature of their obsessions and compulsions. However, they feel unable to control their obsessions or resist their compulsions. So common obsessions include fear of contamination, germs and poisons, harm, illness, accidents, death, intrusive thoughts, sex, violence, whatever that might be, symmetry, the exactness, orderliness, tidiness. These are, some of these are classic OCD and some of them might surprise. Morality and or religious issues. That's one of the ones that didn't surprise me necessarily, but is certainly one that I consider to be less obvious with OCD. I guess unless you spend a lot of time with them, and then if they are able to talk, you get a much better sense of what's happening in their brain. No routine and memory loss. So these are fears. Fear of no routine. So the obsessive sides of things. Obsessions can change in nature and severity and do not respond to logic. Obsessional anxiety leads to vigilance for possible threats, so hypervigilance, and a compelling need for certainty and control. Obsessions can produce feelings ranging from annoyance and discomfort to acute distress, disgust, and panic. So that's the obsession side of things. The compulsions include excessive hand washing, showering, cleaning of everything, checking locks, electrical gas appliances, repeating routine activities and actions, applying rigid rules and patterns, touching, tapping, or moving in a particular way or a certain number of times. Now, I think if we're looking at a person that could be OCD, but we don't know, maybe some of these look a little bit more like where you might be going, I wonder whether they're OCD. But then I think that to some degree, surely we're all a bit OCD. I know I have a bit of an excessive routine of checking locks every night. And of course, I didn't do it last night, and one of the doors stayed unlocked all bloody night. So lucky we're in a pretty safe place in Brisbane, but still, that's not ideal. A few years ago, well, that was quite a few years ago now, before kids, so 20 years ago, we actually had closed our door, but we left it open just a little bit because we had dogs that would go in and out all night. And a guy managed to squeeze through the gap, and he at 3 o'clock in the morning and took a whole heap of our stuff. And the dogs stayed asleep under our bed the whole bloody time. Good on them. Great guard dogs. Bless us, he did wake them up and the dog started barking and he ran off. But yeah, it's just one of those interesting things. But anyway, point being, I do tend to be quite pedantic with checking locks on doors and windows and everything at the end of each day. But I don't think that wouldn't be classed as obsessive compulsive. For me, I'd class that as being sensible and having a safe routine. But then we look at these other ones, and if it all lumps in, lots and lots of these obsessions and compulsions tied in together, more likely to lead to a diagnosis of OCD. So the compulsions, usually compulsions become like rituals. They follow specific rules and patterns and involve constant repetitions. Compulsions give an illusory sense of short-term relief to anxiety. However, they actually reinforce anxiety and make the obsessions seem more real, so that the anxiety soon returns. And that's why OCD often sits under the label of anxiety. And that's why often when you do see anxiety written in Chinese medicine textbooks, or maybe you've been to a workshop previously on anxiety, OCD is often tagged in on that. And whilst that's not bad, because at least it's being covered, it's kind of missing the opportunity to break it away from there and look at it on its own like we're doing today. It's not an easy condition to diagnose and treat, so you really have to be on the ball here. For me, you have to be as good as you can be with your diagnosis, but you don't have to be perfect. Just try your best to be as close as you can to the diagnosis. So you really got to listen. Listen to what? We'll talk about that in a minute. You really need to check the Hun and Po axis. So that's where if you've got earth in the middle and your 5 elements, and you have Hun and Po on the side, and then you have Shen and Ji, or willpower. That's the Shen and Ji axis, and then you've got the Hun and Po axis. That's an important one to check, because that's part of where you're more likely to get your diagnosis from, is that metal and wood component. And we'll look at those shortly. So do check that axis, because if one is up, the other one tends to fall, or the other way around. It's rare that they're both up or both down. It's not impossible, but they typically operate like a seesaw or a teeter-totter, or whatever you refer to it as. So when one falls out of whack, like into excess, the other one goes into deficiency, and that creates the potential for an OCD patient. It doesn't have to mean that they will. When the Hun and Po axis is off balance, it can create all sorts of different dilemmas in the body. It doesn't have to be OCD.